Hello everyone and welcome to the Composting Workshop. My name is Marin Dettweiler and I'm the Education Coordinator for Green Iowa AmeriCorps in Cedar Rapids. Today I'm going to share with you a little bit about composting and how you can do it in your own backyard. First of all, why compost? Composting your leftover food is a great way to help save space at your local landfill. When you put your leftover food in the trash, it goes into the landfill and gets buried with everyone else's trash. The most important part of the composting process is that it needs air. When food goes into the landfill, it doesn't have access to air, and it gets turned into the methane gas, which is greenhouse gas and is very bad for the environment. When you compost your food, it turns into nutrient-rich dirt that you can put in the garden. There are many ways to compost your food. You can compost on a big scale, like at a farm or at some waste agencies, or you can compost at home in your backyard. Some cities will even pick up your leftovers and compost it for you. You can even compost with worms. Some of these ways will be touched on in the following video.
Hello. So today we're going to be talking about the easiest way to compost, and that is with these two barrel situation. So why it's easy is that you can just flip this little switch over here, and you can just roll it with your hands like that. So this is a really nice way to compost if you're elderly or if you have small children that can't use a pitchfork to turn the compost, as you'll see later in the video. And I can show you what's inside right now. We just put these together, so there's no compost yet, but there will be maybe later in next spring. So we fill it up like this, and then it just sits in the sun and it decomposes. And that's it. And so then when we're looking in this other one, you can see this big metal tube here, and this provides aeration for the compost so that it can deteriorate faster. So when you have it in a square, like you'll see later, you don't have this air, and that's why you need to use a pitchfork to turn it. So by having this tube in there, we don't have to use a pitchfork to create compost.
So what we have here is just your typical compost bin. I believe I got this one at Costco about 2 or 3 years ago. It's called a soil saver, and what it does is you just put all of your compost straight in there, and it just sits on the ground. And then I like to turn it and try and break down some of the materials I put in there to help it compost faster. So it's the color black because that way it absorbs the sunlight and it stays hot, which helps the compost break down faster. I've had this bin, as I said, for about 2 years, and I've put almost all of the food scraps from inside my house into this compost bin, as well as bedding from my chicken coop. So if we look inside, right now what you'll see is a lot of chicken bedding and some other stuff. So I put like my pizza boxes in here because you can't recycle pizza boxes, so they have to go in the trash. But this is a way to make them into something new. And then this bag right here is one of my compostable bags. I've been using those for about a year now, and I've noticed that they're actually breaking down in my home compost bin, which is kind of rare. I really like them because they're convenient. And then under this is compost. So if we go to the side, I have a little access area, so this slides up, and then you can actually see some compost down in there.
Hello again. Now we are at Cultivate Hope Urban Farm, and this is our compost bin. It's a little bigger because it's a bigger place that we need to be getting compost into. So if you look in here, it's kind of full right now because of derecho and lots of other damages, and it's just it was a good farm year. So it's not technically supposed to look like this in all three. So technically it's supposed to be, this one has big stuff in it, and then you flip it over to this one, and then once it's compost and ready to be put on the field, you would flip it into this one. But right now it's all the same because we have a lot of a lot of vegetation. So now we'll go and spread it on some fields. Okay, now that we're out in the field, I'm going to show you how we're preparing our new acre. So the first things first, you want to put cardboard down so that you kill the grass. And then you're going to put compost over that. They've got this big pile of compost, and we just kind of spread it around like that over the area that you want to be planting in. Now you do this in the fall so that it gets snowed on, and in the spring all the cardboard will get disintegrated, and then you'll be tilling it in the spring. And then that will have a good effect on the earth and on the ground so that you can have better nutrients for your plants.
All right, so what we are looking at here is a verma compost bin, and what that means is it is a worm bin. And so we have, we reach in here, we have some little worms who live in here and they eat our compost. So we put like apple cores, banana peels, all sorts of things in here. This is a really easy way to compost if you don't have a big yard. And so an application of this is you can actually just take some of the compost. Of course, you want to make sure that there's no worms in it, unless you want worms in your houseplants. So we have a nice bit of compost, and we're just going to apply it right to the soil in here. And there might be some paper shreds. That's okay. It'll eventually decompose. And now we have just fertilized our houseplant.
Hi all, we are back with some tips and tricks to use in your house. So my favorite item that I have for composting in my house is this little thing right here. It's called a Compo Keeper. I got it for Christmas off of Amazon. I think it was about $30. And what it is it's like a little compost bin for inside. Because 6 people live in my house, there's a lot of compost. So you're able to just use this foot pedal. It opens up. As you can see, it has one of these biodegradable bags in here, and then I'm able to just go ahead and put whatever sorts of compost I have. So for example, you can see I already have in there an egg carton, a paper towel. I throw all my paper towels in here as long as there's no chemicals on them. And then a trick for when you're cutting something and you have compost, what I like to do is use a second cutting board to put all of my compost on. So all of this stuff can be composted. There can be some tricks. So like this, I pulled off of the pineapple. Obviously you want to get rid of this plastic because plastic won't compost, but because this is just a cardboard tag, we're actually able to compost this. So I just take this whole cutting board and I will just slide it right in there. And then once that gets full enough, I just grab the bag and I'm able to just pull it out and take it outside, just like that. And so I take my compost bags out about twice a week, because if they get too soggy, the bottoms will actually break, and then you'll have a big kind of gross mess to clean up. And one more trick I do around my house is I have these little bins. They have like a little hanger, and so they hang on the side of my trash cans all throughout my house. And then I'm able to collect compost from other areas. So we compost all of our paper towel tubes. You can compost Q-tips that are just paper. You can compost toilet paper, like your hair off of your hairbrush. There's all sorts of compostable materials in every single room. And so to reduce your waste, I just put one of these on my trash can, and then people put compost in them, and then I try and take them out about once a week to go into the compost bin.